Okay, we're in chapter 17, do-it-yourself legal research. Using this book is a good way to educate yourself about the laws that affect your business, but one book is not enough by itself. While we recommend that you get copies of state, local, and federal laws that affect your landlording business, see section 1 just below. And one time or another, you'll probably need to do some further research. For example, you may want to read a specific court case or research a more open-ended question about landlord-tenant law, for instance, your liability for an assault that took place on your rental property. Lawyers aren't the only source for legal help. There's a lot you can do on your own. Law libraries are full of valuable information, such as state statutes that regulate the landlord-tenant relationship. Your first step is to find a law library that's open to the public. You may find such a library in your county courthouse or at your state capitol. Public law schools generally permit the public to use their libraries, and some private law schools provide access to their libraries, sometimes for a modest fee. Don't overlook the reference department of the public library if you're in a large city. Many large public libraries have a fairly decent legal research collection. Also, ask about using the law library in your own lawyer's office. Some lawyers, on request, will share their books with their clients. And then there's this picture of this lady who's like, "You're not taking my book anywhere." All right, so recommend reading on lawsuits. We don't have space here to show you how to do your own legal research in anything approaching a comprehensive fashion. To go further, we recommend 2 excellent resources. The first is Legal Research: How to Find and Understand the Law by Steve Elias and Susan Levenkind. His non-technical book is easy to use step-by-step instructions on how to find legal information. The other is Legal Research Made Easy: A Roadmap Through the Law Library Maze by Robert C. Beering, a videotape presentation on the subject. Both are published by Nolo Press. See order information at the back of this book. State, local, and federal law. Every landlord is governed by state, federal, or local and federal law. In some areas, like anti-discrimination standards, laws overlap. When they do overlap, the stricter laws will apply. In practical terms, this usually means that the laws will give tenants the most protection. Rights and remedies will prevail over less protective laws. State statutes. If you're a typical landlord, you'll be primarily concerned with state law. State statutes regulate many aspects of the landlord-tenant relationship, including deposits, landlord's right of entry, discrimination, housing standards, rent rules, repair and maintenance responsibilities, and eviction procedures. Your state consumer protection agency or attorney general's office may provide publications at little or no cost explaining state laws that affect landlords or copies of the state statutes themselves. So this is advising going to the state consumer protection agency or attorney general's office. For the publications explaining the state laws that affect landlords or copies of the state statutes themselves. Also, representatives of state agencies can often help explain how the landlord-tenant laws they administer are interpreted. Representatives of state agencies. The appendix includes a list of state consumer protection agencies. So let's just take a gander at that. Oops, this is it. Fair housing agencies, consumer protection offices. In California, these are looking like the Department of Consumer Affairs, Consumer Assistance Office. There's a phone number, an 800 number, a fax number. They're in Sacramento. Consumer Assistance Office, okay? CAO. Now, We refer to many of the state laws affecting landlords throughout this book and include citations so that you can do additional research. State laws or codes are collected in volumes and are available in many public libraries and in most law libraries. Depending on the state, statutes may be organized by subject matter or by title, number, chapter, with each title covering a particular subject matter or simply numbered sequentially without regard to subject matter. Annotated codes cannot contain not only all the text of the laws as do the regular codes, but also a brief summary of some of the court decisions discussed in Section 2, interpreting each law, and often references to treatises and treatises and articles that discuss the law. Annotated codes have comprehensive indexes by topic and are kept up to date with paperback supplements, pocket parts, stuck in a pocket inside the back cover of each volume. Because it's so important that you have immediate access to the laws that affect your business, we recommend that you buy copies of the state codes that affect your business in major population states such as California. This is easy since paperback codes are available. They are sold in a number of different editions and are available in any law bookstore. If buying the code is too expensive, you can simply copy the relevant sections from the codes at the law library each year. Remember that you'll need a new volume every year or two, depending on how often your state legislature meets, and never rely on old set of statutes because statutes are frequently amended. All right, Part B, local ordinances, and remember they go in state, local, and then federal. So local ordinances such as rent control rules, health and safety standards, and requirements that you pay interest on tenant security deposits will also affect your business. Contact your city managers or mayor's office for information on local ordinances that affect landlords. If you own real property in a city with rent control, be sure to get a copy of the ordinance as well as rules issued by the rent board covering rent increases and hearings. So what they're saying is local law is going to pertain to the interest on security deposits. It's going to pertain to evictions, obviously, but it doesn't say that here. And health and safety, rent control. And lastly, see federal statutes and regulations. Congress has enacted laws, and federal agencies such as the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development have adopted regulations covering discrimination, wage and hour laws affecting employment of managers, and landlord responsibilities to disclose environmental health hazards. We refer to relevant federal agencies throughout this book and suggest you contact them for publications that explain federal laws affecting landlords or copies of the federal statutes and regulations themselves. We include citations for many of the federal laws affecting landlords throughout this book. The U.S. Code is the starting place for most federal statutory research. It consists of 50 separate numbered titles. Each title covers a specific subject matter. 2 versions of the U.S. Code are published in annotated form. The United States Code Annotated, that's the USCA, West Publishing Company, and the United States Code Service, Bancroft-Whitney, Lawyers Co-op. Most law libraries carry both. Most federal regulations are published in the Code of Federal Regulations, organized by subject into 50 separate titles. Online legal resources. So, federal laws are going to deal with discrimination, wages if you're employing managers, and environmental health hazards. HUD particularly is named here. Now, the Online Legal Resources Law on the Net by James Evans, Nolo Press, is a detailed guide to the thousands of legal resources available on the internet, the world's largest information network. Law on the Net provides easy access to federal and state government agencies, court opinions, legislation and codes, law school and law library catalogs, and legal discussion groups. For order information, see the catalog at the back of this book. Court decisions. Sometimes the answer to a legal question cannot be found in a statute. This happens when court cases and opinions have greatly expanded or explained the statute, taking it beyond its obvious or literal meaning, or the law that applies to your question has been made by judges, not legislatures. The court decisions that explain the statutes. A. Statutes and ordinances do not explain themselves. For example, the state law may require you to offer housing that is weatherproofed, but the statute alone may not tell you whether that means you must provide both storm windows and window screens. Chances are, however, that others before you have had the same questions and they may have come up in the context of a lawsuit. If a judge interpreted this statute and wrote an opinion on the matter, the written opinion, once published, will become the law as much as the statute itself. If a higher court and appellate court has also examined the question, then the opinion will be ruling. Controlling. So, next page. To find out whether there are written decisions that interpret a particular statute or ordinance, look in the annotated code discussed in section 1 above. If you find the case that seems to answer your question, it's crucial to make sure that the decision you're reading is still good law, that a more recent opinion from a higher court has not reached a different conclusion. To make sure that you are relying on the latest and highest judicial pronouncement, you must use the library research tool known as Shepard's Legal Research, How to Find and Understand the Law by Stephen Ilias and Susan Levinkind. Nolo Press has a good, easy-to-follow explanation of how to use Shepard's system to explain and update your research. Court decisions that make law. Many laws that govern the way you must conduct your business do not even have an initial starting point in a statute or ordinance. These laws are entirely court-made and are known as common law. See the explanation of common law in Chapter 9, Section A. An example is the implied warranty of habitability, which is court-made in many states. Researching common law is more difficult than statutory law because you do not have a launchpad of a statute or ordinance. With a little perseverance, however, you can certainly find your way to the cases that have developed and explain the legal concepts you wish to understand. A good beginning is to ask a librarian for any practice guides written in the field of landlord-tenant law. These are outlines of the law written for lawyers that are kept up to date and are designed to get you quickly to key information. Because they are so popular and easy to use, they are usually kept behind the reference counter and cannot be checked out. More sophisticated research techniques, such as using a set of books called Words and Phrases, which sends you to cases based on keywords, are explained in the book Legal Research mentioned above. If a case you have found in an annotated code or through a practice guide or keyword search looks important, you may want to read the opinion. You'll need the title of the case and its citation, which is like an address for the set of books, volume, and page where the case can be found. Ask the law librarian for help. Check out law review articles. Law reviews published by law schools and other legal periodicals may also contain useful summaries of the law. ABA, as well as journal published by your state bar association, should be available in the law library. In these journals, you may find timely articles on legal issues that affect landlords. Be forewarned, though, that law school reviews contain articles by law professors and students and are usually of more academic than practical interest. Local bar association journals and other publications aimed at practicing lawyers, on the other hand, are likely to be more practical. So, how to read a case citation is here, and computers and legal research helpful but still costly. So, there are several places where a case may be reported. If the case is decided by the U.S. Supreme Court, you can find it either in either the United States Reports or the Supreme Court Reporter. So United States Reports is denoted by U.S. and Supreme Court Reporter is S.CT. If it is a federal case decided by a court other than the U.S. Supreme Court, it will be in either the Federal Reporter second or third series, which is F.2 F.2D or F.3D, or the federal supplement F.SUPP. Most states publish their own official state reports. All published state court decisions are also included in the West Reporter system. West has divided the country into 7 regions and publishes all the decisions of the Supreme and Appellate state courts in the region together. These reporters are A and A.2D Atlantic Reporter, first and second series, which includes these decisions from Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia, Maine, Maryland, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Vermont. N.E. and N.E.2D. Northeastern Reporter, first and second series, which includes decisions from New York, Illinois, Indiana, Massachusetts, and Ohio. All decisions from New York appellate courts are published in the same volume, New York Supplement, or N.Y.S. N.W. and N.W2D, Northwestern Reporter, first and second series, which includes decisions from Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. P and P.2D Pacific Reporter, first and second series, which includes the decisions from Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Idaho, Kansas, Montana, Nevada, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Oregon, Utah, Washington, and Wyoming. All California appellate decisions are also published in a separate series, the California Reporter. S.E. and S.E.2D, the Southeastern Reporter, first and second series, which includes decisions from Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia. S.O. lowercase o. And S.O.2D, Southern Reporter, first and second series, which includes decisions from Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, and Mississippi. S.W. and S.W.2D, Southwestern Reporter, first and second series, which includes decisions from Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee, and Texas. A case citation will give you the names of the people or companies on each side of the case, the volume of the reporter in which the case can be found, the page number on which it begins, and the year in which the case was decided. For example, so what we just said was names of the people or company on each side of the case, so the parties, the volume of the reporter in which the case can be found, page number in which it begins, and the year that the case was decided. So back to computers and legal research, helpful but still costly. The newest rage in legal research is to let computers do the work. Computers can store, retrieve, and search a vast number of legal information in a short time. If you are not connected with a large law office or law school, however, you will likely find it difficult to get access to either of the two main systems, Westlaw and Lexis. A small but growing number of public libraries offer these services, usually for a sizable advance deposit or a credit card. You pay as you go. Be prepared for sticker shock. You may end up paying as much as $300 per hour. However, it takes time to learn how to navigate the system's training time, which can be very expensive. If you wish to use one of these systems, either ask your law librarian where the nearest publicly accessible terminal is located, or write to the companies at the following addresses. And I'm going to venture to say that's probably the end of chapter 17. Yes. So now we're going to do some of our own legal research.